So here we are already. It's the beginning of the fourth chapter of the Citizens and Responsible series of Movimiento Visual in cooperation with EuradioNantes. This month we will show you who the new president of the European Parliament, Mr. Schulz, is, and then we will... So here we are already. Here starts the fourth chapter of Citizens and Responsible series of Movimiento Visual in cooperation with EuradioNantes. This month we will show you who the new president of the European Parliament is, Mr. Schulz. Of the Citizens and Responsible series of Movimiento Visual in cooperation with EuradioNantes. This month we will show you who the new president of the European Parliament, Mr. Schulz, is, and then we will... ¿Lo hago? ¿Lo hago? ¿Hablo?
My name is Lara Malvesí. I'm from Barcelona. I work for the Spanish wire EFE, and I live in Brussels, but I come to Strasbourg every month for the plenary session. And I've been working for 3 years in EFE.
And how's a normal day for you at the Parliament?
Well, it starts usually at 9, and then usually there's a debate with the Commission. And after that, around 12 o'clock, there's votes, usually. So you have to prepare before all the votes and just be really intention to see if it's passed or not, and then send it right away. And after that, it follows more debates, press conference, and usually we end about 8 or 9 in the evening. In the Parliament, my job is to follow all the legislation that is going on in the chamber, and also try to look to the Parliament from other perspectives, things that are curious, that can be interested for the public in Spain. The main difference is that there's two things. One, you have to be faster than anyone, so you cannot take time to think about the best words or the best analysis. And secondly, you have to be very objective, so you cannot put your opinion on the piece, but you have to explain what has happened and anything else.
So I'm Delfina. I'm working in the European Parliament as an assistant of Raúl Romeva. I'm 23 years old. I have been studying economics in the Autonomous University of Barcelona, and I did a master in the European University Institute in Florence. And I'd like to be here working in the European Parliament. Normally, well, I wake up, I have breakfast at home, and then the first thing that I do when I arrive to the office is just open the email box and open the newspaper, and of course turn on the TV and try to see a bit like Televisión Española or TV3, like the Catalan television, and have a look like what's the topic of the day, and then whether you have to react like on the spot on something. So it's really a dynamic job. And then, of course, after that period, you start to have meetings. It depends really a lot on the day and on the agenda, because I don't know if someone explained you that the normal work of the Parliament is divided by weeks, and then you have group weeks, you have committees weeks, and then you have Strasbourg or sessions weeks. And then you have weeks where the parliamentary people just come back to their constituencies and they do their job there to talk with the voters and the people in, for example, Barcelona or in Catalonia, and explain what's going on in the European Parliament. So actually the work what we do in the Strasbourg week, for example, has nothing to do with what we do in the group week, where the group week is when in our case, the Green Group in the European Parliament just meet together, have to debate, have political topics debate sometimes, or debate on the preparation of the session and what is the political position that they want to reach or not, etc., etc. And that takes place in Brussels. So it depends, but normally after this hour or half an hour of reading the news and have an idea of what's going on in the world, then you start to have meetings, and then you have committees meetings where you attend and you debate like draft resolutions or reports or something else, and then you have some private topics that your MEP particularly deal with, and bilateral meetings, etc., etc. And at some point during the night, let's say at 7 or 6, you just try to write something like, okay, let's transfer this information somehow. And then I just try to go to the gym. That is not always happen, but I try to go to the gym and then I go back.
What do you do?
Officially, in which sense? I mean, I think it's much more about how you decided the division of tasks in your office and with your MEP. But normally you can attend almost all the meetings on behalf of your MEP whenever he cannot attend it, and you can talk on behalf of him. So it's more like, when you're MEP, because the thing is the agenda is always overlapping one thing and the other. So when the MEP cannot be in one place, you can normally attend the other place and just replace him in those cases. And of course you have to reply emails and give political advice. Actually, we have another colleague that she takes more care on the finances also and the agenda of the MEP, and I'm more in like a political advice. For example, now in the negotiation of the new treaty, what is our position? Do we agree on that? Not? Shall we table an amendment? Shall we present an oral question or a written question to the Commission on that, etc., etc. So you give a proposal to him on a political direction that you think it should be taken.
Me hacen una propuesta y en ese momento pues pienso, no es posible que me la estén haciendo a mí. Pues sí, y finalmente pues la verdad es que cuando me llegó la noticia hace un par de semanas, pues se produjo en mí una sensación. Por una parte me puse a llorar de emoción, luego me entró como a todo el mundo el miedo, el vértigo, pero luego ya inmediatamente pensé, pero si es divino, es un momento importante en el que voy a estar allí, que yo no soy nadie, pero que a lo mejor puedo aportar algo y lo quiero. Hay muchas cosas que en Europa hay que hacer que no se explican, no sabemos explicarlas o no conseguimos romper el muro, pero que al final son las que afectan a la vida de cada uno de nosotros.
I think the European Parliament is very accessible because they don't have all the attention that they wished. Usually journalists are more interested in what the European Commission has to say. So anything you want to do with the MEPs, they are fully disposed to do that. They are always they always want to be interviewed. They always want to give you quotes. They want to be in the media, so it's easy.
Me, no. It's not my responsibility. I mean, we deal like the Green Group in the European Parliament has his personal press officer, I mean, as assistant or whatever you can call it, and they take care of send out the press releases and call the media and have the contact and everything at the European level. And also we have a press office in Barcelona of the party, and then they take care of the Catalan Spanish level. And then Raúl, by his own, he has some special contacts when you need to communicate something concrete or, interviews. And also there is the the media service of the delegation of the European Parliament in Catalonia here in Brussels, or things like this, like the institutional media of the European Parliament, that they cover some spaces.
De cada lugar tenemos parecidos problemas y las soluciones y las políticas y las grandes líneas, como vemos, vienen de Europa. Entonces lo que hay que invertir es que sea lo negativo, lo que nos viene de Europa, los recortes, los reajustes. Hay que hacer otras políticas también.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's really... And also there's a lot of misinformation, especially when you see the media that calls like Europe decided more austerity, for example. Well, it's not that Europe as such, or it's not the EU institutions, it's like a couple of governments that come together and impose it to the rest of the euro area. So, look, we have a democratic problem, but it's also a way that the media, I think, sometimes talk about Europe. I don't know if it's because the journalists don't know about that, or it's because they think it's easier, but I think it creates a lot of confusion. And also, I mean, sometimes the European Parliament is responsible because of the co-decision-making process, is responsible of some directives and decisions, etc. But on the other hand, you have things going on only on the council level, and then you have the issue that, for example, the Greens might have voted against some resolutions that have been approved, or reports or directives, and that is never said, no?
No, I think usually people have not a clear idea of what it's a European Parliament, and usually they think that it's full of people that do nothing. So that's how the things are. I don't know how to make it better to communicate.
It's a busy day for the Spanish press at the European Parliament. The Spanish Foreign Affairs Minister is here and will have a press conference and shortly talk about the economic situation of the European Union. Come along with us and see how a press conference looks like.
Congratulations, Mr. President Schulz. I'm sure under your leadership, the European Parliament will remain the key center of democratic power in the EU. As parliamentarians, we have an obligation to engage Europeans in our joint undertakings and to be their link to the European institutions. Now I would like to invite you, Mr. President Schulz, to come to the podium and to replace me on this chair as the new elected President of the European Parliament.
Maybe it is. I don't know. But the point is that if people still complain it only at local level, that they don't have the the services, and I think it's really necessary that they fight for the maintenance of the welfare state in Europe. But if we don't realize that there is a fight that it has to be done across Europe to maintain at least the welfare state in Europe, this will never reach any port. That's our main concern, no? I mean, and there are local fights that have to be done, but also we need a more European perspective as citizens, as social movement, as people on the street, to tell not necessarily the parliament, but also them, that we need to change. Because they don't feel any pressure in Brussels. Huh? I think it's a problem.
Digamos que es esa idea de que desde Europa, además de consolidarnos como un continente que tiene muchos valores que exportar, un continente que al mismo tiempo tiene que estar abierto a recibir y a aprender y a conciliar en un mundo en que cada vez más las personas migramos, la convivencia, pero...
I live in Brussels. I just decided. It's fine. At the beginning I was really oh, seriously, I don't want to be here. And because I was living in Barcelona and then in Florence, in Italy, and Italy was also really nice. But I mean, Brussels has really interesting things. It's a nice city, and there is people from all over Europe, and it's really intercultural, and you have parties almost every weekend. And I don't know, I think you have to get to know it.
Every time you come.
Yeah, sure, you can come. My only problem is that I didn't have time yet to learn French, and I feel really bad because it's like, yeah, it's like being in Catalonia and don't speak Catalan, you know. But then you cannot communicate here. I mean, everybody more or less speak English, and you can communicate somehow. But if you want to get involved in, I don't know, social movement of Brussels or whatever, it's get difficult.
I think nowadays having a job is already a blessing. I mean, it's sad, but it's like that. So yeah, I feel like lucky, and I try to think that I don't know how long it's going to last, so I have to enjoy it. Yeah, I think it's a shame that they have 2 seats, and Strasbourg shouldn't be a seat of the European Parliament. They should do everything in Brussels. The thing is that the treaty says that France has a right to have this seat here, and anyone wants to make France angry, so they go on business as usual. But for me, it would be better and more easy and comfortably and cheaper for my company if it was only 1 seat.
I think we should fight for 1 seat. Huh? I think this European Parliament here in Strasbourg is not really useful, and the European Parliament can really work like in the plenary session in Brussels. And yeah, there is concrete proposals in how to make this building useful for other EU institutions that are required. And we hope at some point they become more conscious about the money that we are spending in this travel once a week here, million of people. These things, it depends on the personality of each person. I mean, if you don't like real politics, and if you don't like politics at all, or if you don't believe in the European Union model and project, and I think it could be tough, huh? But if you like it, I think it's a really good opportunity.
Yeah, I do. I think it's very interesting working here. You have access to people, you can listen to debates from the main actors of every story. You learn every day about things that usually applies to you too, not only as a journalist but as a citizen. So yeah, I think it's interesting, the job. I like it.